Okay, we've been working with our driving idea that living things have adaptations to help them survive in their environment. Okay, the last week, I would say week or so, you've been researching the rainforest because that is our habitat that we're going to become experts on. All right, so we've been determining, our I can statement has been I can determine the most important information. You came up with questions and you've been researching those questions. Okay? So today, we're going to take that information, all of that information that you've learned about the rainforest, because before we learn about the animals and how they adapt, and the plants and how they adapt, we had to learn what the rainforest was, right? So we started there. So we're going to take all that important information today, and we're going to write a summary. We're going to be summarizing that. Think in your brains. We've been learning about summaries in fiction and now with nonfiction, informational text. What's a summary? What? No, think in your brain. Turn and tell your neighbor what a summary is. What it means to summarize. Remember what makes a desert is that it is dry. So I'm going to say the most important thing about a desert is that it is dry. That it is dry. So think about what you want other third graders to know about the rainforest. And it could be two things. It doesn't have to be one. It could be one or two. Looking at my information, what else would I want other third graders to know? And up here it says the most important thing about a rainforest is, so decide in your group. You have to look through your research on what you think is the most important. So I'm going to call your groups, and I will give each of your groups a blue piece of paper and then your research. So I will hand that back out to you, okay? So go to your four corners. Andy's group. So maybe just look back over your research a little bit. Chloe, I know you've been gone, so...
Just kind of look at it and then think of a sentence.
Just finish that.
The thing about a rainforest is that it has 4 layers. Is that it is hot.
Do you think that's important? The most important thing?
No, I mean,
or Andrea thinks that it's hot.
It's hot. It has, where's the part where it says it has half of the animals in the world? The most important thing about a rainforest is that it has over half of the world's population. I think it's hot out there.
What do you guys think?
I like Alex.
The most hot. Half of the
Andrea? Can you live with Alarics? The most important thing is that half this, remember that word species? Is that what you were trying to think of? Where can you look to find that word?
Up there.
Ah, there you go. Okay. So maybe just look back over your research a little bit. Chloe, I know you've been gone, so...
Just kind of look at it and then think of a sentence.
Just finish that.
The thing about a rainforest is that it has 4 layers. Is that it is hot.
Do you think that's important? The most important thing?
No, I mean,
or Andrea thinks that it's hot.
It's hot. It has, where's the part where it says it has half of the animals in the world? The most important thing about a rainforest is that it has over half of the world's population. I think it's hot out there.
What do you guys think?
I like Alex.
The most hot. Half of the
Andrea? Can you live with Alarics? The most important thing is that half this, remember that word species? Is that what you were trying to think of? Where can you look to find that word?
Up there.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Third graders, quick reminder, I forgot to remind you. Where should you look to find words about the rainforest? Okay, use this in your writing today. You should see several of these words in your poem. Okay? You got an idea? Okay, does everybody agree with that? So the most important thing about the rainforest is, so right, you know what? Put that there. So write out that sentence. The most important thing about the rainforest is that it is hot and humid. Okay? If you had to pick one thing that people need to know about the rainforest, is that it's wet. Okay? So then, using your other research, what do you think the other third graders would need to know?
About the
Let's do job.
Okay, well, let's look at our research. Let's go back to this. Not what we think, but what we've learned.
orchids.
What about what's this one say? What do you have for What do you have for that?
Oh, it's biting. It's a
Okay, you think that's important?
yes. Yeah. That's
Okay.
what
So how can we put that into a sentence?
So we could do sometimes we could do the sloth. Yeah, sloth.
What'd you learn about the sloth?
They have hooks on their hands to hang on the branches.
Okay, so how can we put that in? The sloths have hooks.
They have hooks on their hands to survive.
Oh, I like that. Sloths have
Hooks on their hands to survive.
to survive. Okay. All right. Okay, be thinking of what's next.
What are we gonna do then? One more sentence and we can do last sentence.
But the most important thing about the rainforest is that it is wet.
It's basically same sentence. Yeah. And then should we read it one more time?
Oh yeah,
Make it
for good measures.
word choice.
For good measures.
Good measures. Yep. Should we do that?
Yeah, if that's what you think. That's okay. Just keep going. Just right here. There are 4 layers.
Wait, why did we all write rate? Because you're doing 70 plus inches.
All right, third graders, I want you to finish the sentence that you're on. We're probably not going to finish these today because I want to do one quick thing. So just finish where you're at and we're going to meet in the median. All right, hustle. Papers are quiet. We're ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Thank you. Alex, sit up. 1. Excellent thinking going on today. I really like some of the important things you're pulling out of your research. Something I noticed that we don't have, that we're not agreeing on, you might be agreeing in your group, but we're just going to talk real quick about your first sentence. And I'm going to write down what all 5 of you put for your first sentence. Because, and I'll explain. So, group 1, what did you write? The most important thing about the rainforest is that it is...
More than half of the species of the world live there.
More than half the species of the world live there. Okay, group 2.
The most important thing about the rainforest is that it is wet.
Wet. 3.
The most important thing about a rainforest is that it is wet.
Wet. 4.
That it is hot and humid.
Hot and humid. And 5.
Wet.
All right, I want you to think for a minute about our 5 choices. Because that first sentence is the most important thing. You're going to tell the other third graders who don't know anything about the rainforest one thing about the rainforest. What should it be? More than half the species of the world live there. Wet, hot and humid, or wet. So think. I don't want you to talk for a minute. I want you to think. And it's okay to not agree with your group. And it's okay to make changes or change your mind. Okay? I just want to have a short negotiation about which one you think. Which one you think is the most important thing? Go ahead. What?
I think that the most important thing is that more than half of the species of the world live there.
Why?
Because that's nice to know. If nobody knew about it, they would know some information. I agree with Andrea because like some of the third graders might not know that, but they probably might know that it's hot and humid and wet.
I disagree with Emma because we have a lot of information about the weather, and mostly ours is like the rain water.
So your research tells you more about how it's. Which one did you?
5.
5. So your research says more about how it's wet.
Yeah.
Jack.
Or
Okay.
like rainy.
Okay. And rainy, wet, and could you add? Is that your group, Jack?
Yeah.
You could even say wet and rainy.
I
So-
disagree with Jack because more than half of the species of the world live there. That's pretty important to know more than wet and rainy because most people already know that. But some might not know that more than half the species of the world live there.
Okay.
I disagree with Alaric because our information about the weather is most of it's about the rain and how wet it is.
I disagree with Reese because it'd be pretty important to know that over half of the species of the world live in the rainforest.
I disagree with Ariel because most of our most of our information is about how wet and what the weather is like, not how about almost half the animal species of animals live there.
I disagree with Alex because people pretty much know that the weather is there, it's wet and hot and most people might not know about the species.
I disagree with Chloe because it says it's 80 Fahrenheit, but it still rains.
I'm going to say, remember when we started researching the rainforest, I said, remember our questions? Let's build a rainforest. We were going to build our own rainforest. What, if I didn't know anything about it, let's pretend I don't know anything about rainforest. What's the one thing you would need? Okay. I'm not going to answer your question today. I think we're going to continue negotiating this, and you can negotiate it in your group if you want to switch. We have 5 good choices up here, 5 choices that you've come up with. It's all right if you want to change. If you want to go back to your groups and change. Okay?